Hello, sir. How's it going today?
Good.
Been a while since I've seen you, but we talked a few times since our last meeting. I got a hold of the deed and the power of attorney and all that kind of stuff, and just double checking. Your goal is to make sure that you can take care of the grandma and get her out to Tulsa, correct?
Yeah, the grandma's the main goal right now. It's not really about me, but
Okay, grandma's the main goal. We have first and foremost a week from today is the hearing
yes.
that we got the letter for. And it's at this that it will be decided who the personal representative of the estate is, which basically means they decide, or they don't gain any of the estate. They just make sure that everything's paid out to goes to, and they kind of just run the whole estate. And I believe, if possible, we need to try and get you to be personal representative instead of Shirley. One, just because, I don't know if you guys have a great relationship or not, but it just make things easier on the estate. Also, you get a small amount of compensation for being the personal representative of the estate, which could go towards helping a grandmother.
Yes.
So basically the way it goes in Oklahoma, based on statute, is that the spouse is usually made the representative just because that's the succession of probate. However, in this case, because there was no will, we can show up and we can contest to the fact that she is the personal representative and make argument that you deserve to be the personal representative. And I was thinking we'd make this based off the fact that we could look into her past, if she's got any drinking problems like your father did,
Yeah.
and stuff like that, like to prove that she's unfit to be personal representative.
Okay.
Okay, going on from there, I believe that the best way to get the most money for you to help your grandma would be first and foremost to prove that the power of attorney that she gave to your father before he died was done illegally, and that contract should be void.
Okay.
Due to a lack of mental capacity. So, have you possibly spoken to any of the doctors that your grandma might have seen while she was in her retirement home that might be able to attest that her health is deteriorating mentally?
Yeah, I've talked to a few of them, and I'm pretty sure that we get some testimony from them to help my grandma's case and our case.
Okay, that's great to hear. Yeah, doctor testimony would be perfect, and because once we can prove that is a void contract, then we can prove that then that means the deed that he signed over to himself doesn't belong to him, and thus none of the grandmother's assets, specifically the 80-acre farm that he signed over to himself, would belong to him or his estate after he died. So that would be completely removed and still belong to your grandmother, as opposed to him or potentially Shirley.
Okay.
Once we do that, then it's just a matter of, if we can prove that, which sounds like we should hopefully be able to do, then from there, based on just usual probate laws in Oklahoma, you'd basically be splitting the rest of what your father died with 50-50. She gets half, you get half, which from my research is 3 bank accounts and a few deposit slips.
Okay.
We can,
that excludes the 80-acre farm.
yeah, if we get that deed void,
Okay.
or passing of that deed void, then that excludes anything that they would have got from the grandmother.
Okay.
And in my personal opinion, I think would be if we get the deed taken away from your father's estate, then splitting 50-50, everything else would probably be the best course of action, unless we can somehow prove that Shirley never loved your father and was just marrying him for whatever, even though he was not a very wealthy man. Then it'd be hard to to get her to not have any attempt at the money or anything else. So, 50-50 isn't a bad split. That still gives you 50% of what your father had, and then you could always liquidate your grandmother's assets, like the farm and their house in Chandler and all of that. I guess I should first let me rewind for you real quick.
Okay.
If we do all of that, even if we can't do all of that, I would recommend gaining guardianship of your grandmother.
Okay.
Which is very easy to do if you can prove mental incapacity. As you said, the doctor can provide testimony to that. And in that case, you become guardian, and that means you have control over all the assets she still has. Whether that does eventually mean the 80-acre farm again or not,
Okay.
you would still be able to be able to help her out and control all of her stuff.
Okay.
Continuing, so thus far, what we've established is that we would like to get you to be personal representative. We would like to get the power of attorney voided, and thus the deed transfer voided. And then from there, if we could accomplish all of that, then we would just split the rest 50-50 with Shirley.
Yeah.
From a devil's advocate side, if we cannot get the power of attorney void and the deed stays in your father's estate, then that would be included in what you're splitting with Shirley, and thus you would get half of that farm and half of everything else.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be you wouldn't be losing too much in that situation, but you'd still be not making as much money as preferred, and more money the better when it comes to getting your grandmother moved.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I guess, and then also on top of all of that, if you don't want to get into any of this legal jargon and you just want it to be over as quickly as possible, you can just let Shirley get personal representative, and then y'all just split everything 50-50 and not get into any other legal situation, just so you can just worry about getting guardianship and getting your grandma moved as quickly as possible.
Okay.
So that is also an option as well if you just want to expedite it. That'd be a little bit quicker, but you might not be as successful.
I think I'd rather try to get as much for my grandma at this point and go from there.
I agree, especially because I honestly think you do have a really good case for getting that deed transferred back to your grandmother's name.
Mm-hmm.
And once it is in her name and you gain guardianship, then you can do so with whatever's best benefits you and your grandmother. I like that idea. Besides that, I think we're good. We're set to commence to the meeting next week.
Okay.
We'll go there. I will ask. We'll probably bring you as a witness, and if you can think of any other family members that might be able to attest to why Shirley is not able to be a personal representative. Like I said, anybody with stories of her having alcohol problems, or just in general not wanting to do the duties that correspond with being personal representative, because there is a lot of work that entailed within it. So we'll ask you, and if you can think of a couple other people, maybe by 2 days from now, that might also be able to tell stories, then we can use that to get you to be representative. And then from there, we'll try to get all the other prospectable outcomes in motion.
All right, that sounds great.
Sounds good. Awesome.
All right.
Be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you.